It's time for Silver Linings with Greg Neal, physical gold and silver expert and wholesale supplier, answering your questions about how and where to store your hard-earned money with a rational sense of peace in troubled times.
Good morning. This is Greg and Melody Neal from the Gold Ore Store downtown St. George. Hello.
We're excited to be here, and I got to change the front of that to Greg and Melody Neal rather than just Greg Neal lately.
No, I like it, just Greg Neal. Okay. I'm hoping I'm just a guest just to get started here, and then I'll be replaced by more.
Nice try, dear.
Yeah,
nice
well,
try.
Anyway.
Okay, so today we're going to rock this thing rolling really quick here. We're going to talk about, over the next hour, about 7 things you must do before the GCR, or Global Currency Reset.
What is the global currency reset for those who are unfamiliar with that term, hon?
Yeah, absolutely. Global currency reset is actually the resetting of all currencies to valuation, basically reducing the ones that are over leveraged, which i.e. U.S. dollar and several others that are out there, down, and the rest of them that have been hit with brutal deflationary numbers over the last 10, 20 years to actually be brought up to decent amounts. An example, the dinar from Iraq. So these currencies are all going to be reset to a level that's actually valued and fair for the inhabitants and residents of these various different nations around the world. We've
been bullies, haven't we?
We have. With
the dollar.
Yeah, we go in and we beat the hell out of these countries. We create stories that, they're killing their own people, whatever we can do to
create war, to create money for the very, very wealthy.
Exactly, and it's really, and that's all this really truly is about. It's never about, when Bush Senior and Junior put us into Iraq. And we beat the snot out of those folks and literally killed millions and millions of their countrymen. And it wasn't about weapons of mass destruction. We proved that. We proved that it isn't really truly. It's mostly about oil, which is, i.e., money. And it's done by the elites that are pulling the strings on these presidential puppets to create chaos in these countries, and it's all the cover is, and the unfortunate cover is really our beautiful soldiers are sent to these nations to kill people, and they don't even know why they're there. And Vietnam is the next the biggest issue. If you want to go back to the 60s and 70s, exactly the same scenario. I know this is probably pushing some real buttons right now, but would you rather have me tell the truth, or do you want me to continue to lie to you like the mainstream media does every day on tube?
You know, Greg and I, do you remember that documentary that we watched about money on Netflix a few years ago? They were interviewing the world banker that was hired to go around to the different third world countries and identify their resources.
Oh, yes.
Anyway, he was interviewed, and he would go out to these third world countries, and I'll just tell you, they talked about Africa. They went to Africa, and they found out that Africa raises the highest quality of cotton in the world. And so what they would do is they would go into these countries and they say, hey, look, we'll give you this loan so that you can have the resources to farm this land, get all the equipment that you need, get all the fertilizer or whatever, anything, so that you can raise this cotton. And they would jump on that because it was just exciting. They have capital now, and they would invest this, and they would start to farm this cotton. And then the world bankers would put these interest rates on that they could never, ever pay.
Yeah.
And then they told them they could only sell their cotton to these 5 different companies that were owned by the world bankers.
Yeah, the World Bank, or the IMF, is the one that really pulls the strings on these things. And, they're going to these countries and in a sense, kind of bail out the dictators or whomever's actually running the strings of the country.
And placing the people into slavery, basically, yes, they're getting paid and they're actually selling their cotton, but they can never get ahead of the interest rate, whiwhich is not even real because
it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, right now in Brazil, it's really interesting because they're showing a face of the greatest city in the world, and at some level they probably are, but behind the scenes, they're not going to show you the level of poverty and devastation that the same situation and same problems that we're talking about here with regard to an economy that's in the toilet, basically. It's a case for Brazil. It's a case for Argentina. It's a case for most of the South American countries are in deep, deep debt. There's a massive amount of poverty. And so, while we're, winning, kicking butt in the Olympics there, as the U.S. Athletes are, behind the scenes, you're not seeing the real truth about that country. And, I was just talking to you the other day, Mel, about who's actually paid for these venues.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking literally hundreds of millions of dollars in infrastructure funds. I guarantee you, well, first of all, there was no way that the Brazilian people could come up with this money to build these venues. So
there's going to be a price to pay for that.
Oh, boy, there's always a price to pay. And particularly at the Olympics, it's like I think the only time the Olympics have ever been paid for is here in the good old state of Utah. And it was probably mostly because it was
all the volunteers.
It was not only just volunteer, but a bunch of services were literally given to the Olympic Committee to literally build these venues.
Absolutely. Well, anyway, we're going to be talking about the 7 things you must do before the global currency reset. And just to clarify, this information is coming from Lindsey Williams. He's a pastor who has a history of blowing the whistle and telling the truth about the New World Order. And so we're going to be, this is where this information is coming from, and it's fascinating.
I've actually met Lindsey Williams. He maintains connections with many of the elite insiders. And literally, they actually feed him the information that we're giving you today about these 7 items you must do before the global reset. So holding the position that the USA does is a power play, and that's being the global reserve currency. This reserve currency status is what's allowed the U.S. of America to actually control and literally push around all these other nations on the planet. When you've got that control of the world reserve currency, everything, I don't know if you folks realize, but when any international transactions occur, up until just recently, and we're still involved in this, but many countries have actually separated themselves from this reserve currency status that the USA holds. It means that their currencies have to be converted into U.S. dollars in order to purchase any goods or services from the United States of America. And so it's and by the way, it's not just buying from the United States of America. When it comes, this is what happened when Nixon put us on the oil reserve status, basically, or petrodollar. What happened was every dollar that was or every currency of the world literally would have to be converted into a U.S. dollar before one drop of oil would go from the ports to the ships.
And that's not the case anymore.
It is not the case anymore because by April, the BRICS nations actually took over this ability to have to do this anymore, and they're doing it on their own.
Because they backed their currencies with gold.
With gold, correct.
Yeah, so now they don't want to sell us oil for dollars because our dollar isn't worth anything.
Well, they won't even accept it. They won't even accept the U.S. dollar. So, yeah, this is really quite incredible. Again, we're sharing with you on this Sunday things that you're not going to hear anywhere else in the media. They will not talk about these things because it's not as important as the Olympics.
Well, especially under the Obama administration since 2008, we have completely and utterly abused our position as the holders of the world currency.
Yep.
And we've engaged in wild inflation, unbridled printing of the dollar. They've printed the money, raised the debt ceiling,
over
started
and over again.
all that quantitative easing.
Yeah, Congress keeps raising the ceiling debt, which is just absolutely insane. And so we got quantitative easing, which is a real problem. We'll talk a little bit more about that
when we come back. You guys have got to.
But it's kind of like this. It's an Orwellian term. This whole quantitative easing thing. It's flooded the world with excess dollars. Well, there's no real increase to the economic growth in our country.
Meaning the dollar's worthless every day?
Every single day, the dollar is worth less and less and less. And I bet you listeners right now actually are starting to realize that we just can't buy as much with that dollar anymore.
And so we've been living under an illusion of prosperity. It's just terrible.
We're excited to continue on with the 7 things you must do before the global currency reset. Come back.
Have you lost trust in the government? Have you lost trust in your bank or investment portfolio? Are you just flat out scared right now about what is coming on the horizon? If you're ready for another choice in where and how to store your hard-earned money, Greg Neal, physical gold and silver expert and wholesale supplier, has answers and a rational sense of peace in troubled times.
Now is the time to make a change. This is Greg from the Gold Ore Store. Come in or call 435-703-9119.
Welcome back. This is Greg and Melody from the Gold Ore Store, 7 North Main Street in St. George, Utah. Historic St. George, Utah. TheGoldOreStore.com.
If you're just tuning in, we're talking about the global reset of the economy, and we're talking about the 7 things that you can do to prepare. So take it away.
So yeah, we have a Federal Reserve that we hired in 1913, done in secret on Christmas Eve of 1913. And I don't know if many of you know about this story, but there were just a few congresspersons, I think about 23 actually, in-house at about midnight on the 23rd of December 1913. They created this insidious, creature called the Federal Reserve, and it's just actually we have literally destroyed our economic country utilizing the Federal Reserve's policies, and many of you are more aware of this today. Just take a look. Take a look at what's going on and how much that dollar buys. We have an illusion of prosperity in this country. It's like a drunk in a bar using up his tab. One day's now coming when the credit will stop flowing and the debts will be called in.
We're just getting buried more and more because of inflation and the lack of the buying power of the dollar.
Well, here's just recent concepts for everybody to kind of digest as we're talking about all this today. The U.S. was actually $17 trillion at the end of 2014. Today, I'm looking at the U.S. national debt clock, and
you can look this up,
usdebtclock.org. It's $19,419,934,000,000 and counting.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that. In just a couple years, we've actually added a couple $1 trillion to our debt.
We just added $1 million while we're talking.
We are in a hyperinflationary period right now when it comes to the U.S. national debt.
We just added another $1 million while we're talking.
Exactly. I mean, this is crazy. And now look at this. In 2003,
we just added another $1 million. Okay, you get the point. Yeah.
In 2003, we were $4.4 trillion. I'm sorry. It was $6.8 trillion in 2003, $4.4 trillion in 1993. Do you see what's happening here? This is absolute insanity. We have got to do something now to change this. And take a look at what's going on in politics right now. This is just nutty.
So, what is the purpose of the global reset?
The GCR is designed, or global currency reset. You're going to continue to hear about this, at least on our show. is designed to actually objectively get us to a new. Well, their main objective was get us to a new world order. There's two main objectives. Firstly, new world order. Create one world currency. Resetting the currencies brings them all closer together and brings us closer to the possibility of replacing them with a single currency. And secondly, to destabilize America, bringing it to its knees so that no one country can exist as a superpower to challenge the formation of a one world government.
Which we've been the superpower. We've been controlling people with the mighty dollar through the world bankers.
Yeah, it's been used by the elite as a tool to economically and militarily dominate the world. Now, in some respects, their aim has already been achieved, them being the elite. And America must be subdued and give way to a new international order, a new world order in which no one country is strong enough to stand alone or secede from a centrally controlled world government. One thing I will say about this really quickly is that there is a feeling right now in the world that it's time to shift this. It's time to remove this power structure from the elite of the world, and actually, the people get to have the power.
Well,
and that's how this country was originally designed by our founding fathers to begin with.
And this reset is on top of us, guys. It's happening right now. They've been putting things in place to revamp certain systems through the computer networks and stuff so that these world bankers can't push a button and monopolize the money,
Right.
the gold and silver. Speaking of gold and silver, today, the buying power or the ratio of $1 to 1 ounce of gold based on the value of the dollar right now should be $7,959.
Yeah, I mean, just hear that. Say that one more time.
$7,959 is what it should be costing you for 1 ounce of gold.
And that's just a bare bones minimum.
Yeah,
right
that's
now.
the ratio.
Exactly.
And for silver, it's $879.78. So just because this global reset isn't going to just affect our dollar, it's going to affect the value of that gold and silver that you've been buying.
Yeah, you've been buying at a reduced
haven't been buying.
gift rate. Right now you can get an ounce of silver for about $22 and an ounce of gold for around $1,380, somewhere in that range. I mean, take a look.
If you were a business and you were selling paper that wasn't backed by anything, and you were billions of dollars upside down, if you had the ability to manipulate, and you were a criminal, to manipulate the gold and silver value, and you needed to hoard that gold and silver value before a reset happened, and you knew the reset was going to happen because you're part of that, wouldn't it make sense that you would push that down and gobble up as much as you could, and then be fat and happy and not so concerned about all that worthless paper that all the people that bought that worthless paper is going to get stuck with?
I just recently had a millionaire come in the store and actually sit down with me and talk to me about, gold and silver. And one of the things that he and I hear this quite often, and you do too as well, Mel, is individuals actually talking about, why would I take my money out of the stock market right now? I'm making so much.
Okay. Well,
yeah, it's
in
like,
a nutshell, it means that the U.S. currency can no longer avoid the consequences of that inflation.
Right.
It's going to lose its value. That means that any investment in the U.S. dollars that's backed by U.S. dollars, pensions funds, IRAs, 401ks, savings accounts.
Folks. Yes, 401ks.
All of that, it's going to be devalued when the reset happens.
Yeah, and I think initial thoughts were that this number would be down in the 30-40%. We actually believe that it will be much, much higher than that. That this next crash that is
conservatively, they're talking 30% of its current worth. You could lose 30% of your current worth. We are sounding the bell of warning here. You may want to rethink where you're parking your money.
Yeah, I'm missing that bell again. I've got to get my
It's a big deal, guys. It's a big deal.
For me.
But the good news is there are some things that we can talk about today?
Well, and that's what we're all about today, and our time is very limited. So we're attempting to get through this as quickly as possible. 7 things you must do before the GCR takes place.
Nobody really knows when it's going to happen.
Okay, so gold. Let's talk gold. So gold and silver, I never separate the two in the sense other than they're two different names. But the facts are that it is time to buy gold and silver. I don't even pussyfoot around this anymore. It's really time to actually get yourself some gold and silver. It is time, folks. I can't emphasize this enough.
It's a stable investment. It's physical.
It is physical. You hold it. We're not talking about ETFs here or stock market options or anything like that. We're talking about the real goods that you hold either on your person or in a safe in your house, by the way. No safety deposit boxes in any other storage in any other place other than close by you, folks. That's like an emphatic no safety deposit boxes.
Yeah, it's not something that's going to rust. It's not going to break down. Its advantages, the value could be manipulated to zero. You'd still have your gold. If the stock market crashes and the stocks and the businesses go out of business, you don't have anything.
Exactly. And then, we're going to touch on silver just momentarily. I'm going to come back, talk about it more because it is a buy of the century right now, folks. It is no doubt the best investment in any precious metal right now, hands down, no questions about it. I will talk more about silver when we come back.
Well, and we're going to talk about the 7 different things, gold being the number one thing, right?
Yeah. Number one on the list. Number one on the list. But number 2 is silver on the list of the 7 items. And you must acquire some gold or silver as well. So
we'll talk about
some
that.
Silver, and we're going to talk about it some more here. This is Greg and Melody Neal from the Gold Ore Store, 435-703-9119. We're looking forward to seeing you coming back in just a moment.
Gold and silver is the purest money on earth. It can't be printed and it can't be created. Gold and silver is money and insurance for your family. We hope you never need it, but wouldn't you rather have peace of mind? The Gold Ore Store. Now is the time.
The Gold Ore Store. For your family's peace of mind. The Gold Ore Store. Located on Main Street in historic downtown St. George.
Silver. There is not a better product in the world for you to store wealth. This is Greg and Melody Neal from the Gold Ore Store, 435-703-9119.
Our website is goldorestore.com. That, again, is gold or spelled O-R-E, store.com. And we're talking today about the global currency reset and what you can do to protect your family. The number 1 thing on the list is gold. The number 2 thing on the list is silver, and we're talking about silver.
We are. Silver is so fabulous. The price is so ridiculously low right now, folks. You may not realize that you can get an ounce of silver for around $22 right now. It is absolutely a fabulous low, ridiculously low price. It is absolutely a manipulated market. We're being given a gift right now, and if you're feeling at any level right now that this is like hitting home to you, I highly suggest that you come into our store and we show you what we have available to assist you in actually storing some real money on you. Basically owning physical gold and silver is it. That's the way to go.
The big promotion this week, too, by the way, is quarters and halves.
Yes.
U.S. currency, pre-1964. If you'd like to get some, we're selling them in $100 face bags. Come on in and get them while they last. They will go fast, guys.
They will.
First come, first serve.
We have quarters and half dollars. 90%. We have quite a bit, but it's a limited supply, so please come in and call us about that. The next item on the list is Bitcoin. We've never really talked about Bitcoin at all, but I want you to know that I have affinity for it. I do have some. I have a very small amount. I'm looking at getting more. Bitcoin is a fabulous system. It's had some recent little hiccups where individuals that have stored their Bitcoin in off-site wallets, per se, have actually had stuff stolen.
Well, the
from them.
hackers.
So,
Hackers.
And so there are some negatives, meaning if an internet system goes down, there's problems.
So if you'll just back up a little bit, because you're talking you're talking to people who know what a Bitcoin is, but what is a Bitcoin?
Yeah, so a Bitcoin is what's termed as a cryptocurrency. A cryptocurrency is a system whereby value is stored in an electronic form. Thereby, it is secured with an encryption system, and it's untouchable, really, as long as you keep it within your own wallet, meaning it's an electronic wallet system. It is all computer generated. They're actually created out of a computer system, and I don't have really a whole lot of time to go into this, but I will say to this, I do believe in Bitcoin as an alternative. I do not hold it above gold and silver. I hold it probably behind in a number 3 space. It's just another way to get yourself out of Federal Reserve.
Even our government has been auctioning off Bitcoin that they purchased.
Germany is actually utilizes the Bitcoin system, which is rather interesting. They actually have a system whereby their governments actually accepts Bitcoin.
So let me give you some phone numbers of some dealers of Bitcoin, if you'd like to find out a little bit more. Midas Resources, and I believe their website is MidasResources.com. And their number is 1-800-686-2237.
Yeah, they're going to be the primary that we would give out information, and we're not getting anything by giving you these
exactly.
names. So,
we don't get a commission, guys.
The other item number 4 that we need to go to is foreign currencies. Acquire capital in your home currency, meaning the first step to buying foreign currencies is to have available capital to convert into these alternative monetary denominations. Free up liquid capital from your assets. Your purchase of currency may require you to sell other assets like stocks or other financial products, or take money out of an account to get it ready to invest. And then, of course, do it through, generally you can do it through a broker, when you're purchasing these kinds of things. And what we're talking about here is we're talking about dinar. We're talking about the Vietnamese dong. We're talking about Indonesian
Zimbabwe.
Rupiah, and Zimbabwe's Zimnote.
So foreign currency in these particular countries is really inexpensive, guys. However, when the global reset of the world currencies happens, just like the gold and silver, your potential for being able to capitalize on your investment is huge. Huge.
Absolutely. So we're if you'd like to discuss some of this further, we'll
come in and see us. We're on 7 North Main Street.
Absolutely. Come in to 7 North Main or call us at 435-703-9119.
Now, we don't sell we don't have any foreign currency for sale right now, but we can talk to you about it. And if you're just tuning in, we are Greg and Melody from the Gold Ore Store, 7 North Main Street. We're talking about the world currency market and the reset.
The global currency
and what you
reset.
can do to...
so we've gone over, basically 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 being gold, silver, 2 being silver, 3 being Bitcoin, 4 being foreign currencies. Number 5 is interesting. It's farmland in America. This is very interesting because it kind of feeds into our mentality about, having a healthy regimen of different items. But land in general is a great place to put, a depreciating currency, because land always holds its value. So we're really into physical goods, holding actual items that you really truly own. So farmland in America is one that we can talk about later more in depth. But it is in supply. There are farms available, and farming in various different venues is becoming more and more important. There's certain crops right now that are gaining massive interest in the world. And so, these crops can be sold all over the world, many of them. So we can talk about that further on another.
Can we back up a little bit back on the foreign currencies? Because there's some information that I really wanted people to have regarding that. We were talking about investing in foreign currency, acquiring capital. First, you want to find a really good broker. Make sure that before you purchase any foreign currency, that you study the currency exchange rates. Look how the values are for the chosen currency and how it fluctuates over time. Look at the history on it and make sure that you're really feeling comfortable with it. Then start placing currency transactions. Place these with your broker. You could or should be able to track the progress of your investment with visual software or other resources. But I say get the physical currency. Record the cost of your transaction. Make sure you keep your receipts, because when you go into, file your taxes or you need good records. So the following currencies are the ones we think are most likely to do the best in the future. And remember, every investment has an element of risk, so do your homework. Don't just take our word for it. The number one currency is the Iraqi dinar. Number 2 is the Vietnamese dong. Number 3 is the Norwegian krone. 4, Swiss franc. 5, Chinese renminbi. How do you pronounce that? Renminbi. Yeah. And a place that you can go to purchase the dinar or the dong is the Sterling Currency Group, and you can reach them at 1-888-346-2771. Again, Sterling Currency Group, 1-888-346-2771.
Or you can go on eBay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. eBay's a good place, too.
Yeah, it really is. Just go with a good dealer that's actually got, a large amount of
So if you're just tuning in, we're talking about the global currency market. And just to recap quickly for the folks that are just tuning in, what are the first 3 things that you recommend you do before there's a world currency reset?
So get yourself some gold, get yourself some silver, and get yourself some Bitcoin. Those are
and then get yourself some foreign currency.
And foreign currency is number 4 on the list. So now we just talked about land a little bit. And remember, you're listening to Greg and Melody Neal at the Gold Ore Store, 7 North Main Street, 435-703-9119. We are talking about the 7 items right now that you need to have to be prepared for the global currency reset. So basically, we're now on number 6, which is land overseas. Some of you folks might be interested in actually purchasing land. Again, we're back into the land issue. Real estate is number 7. So it's all about owning physical goods. So come on back. We'll be back here in a bit. 435-703-9119.
Traditional investments are losing their appeal. There is a process going on that is changing mindsets. Gold and silver is the purest money on earth. It can't be printed or created. Do you want to protect your wealth with insurance and give your family peace of mind? The Gold Ore Store, now is the time.
The Gold Ore Store, for your family's peace of mind. The Gold Ore Store, located on Main Street in historic downtown St. George.
And you're listening to Greg and Melody from the Gold Ore Store, goldorestore.com, 435-703-9119. We are talking about the global currency reset and the 7 things to prepare yourself. And actually, we're going to go into a bonus on Monday on this. So if you want to hear the other 3 items that are available to you, we're going to talk about that. But I also want to talk about...
That'll be at 4 o'clock right after the Kate Dalley Show.
That's correct. 4
and you
o'clock
can
right
call
after
in
Kate.
with your questions.
Yeah,
It'll
please
be
do.
a live show. Obviously, because this is Sunday, we have to pre-record this. But Monday's our live show, and so you can call into the station and ask your questions.
Well, actually, you can call us today, Sunday. You can call us. We've got our phone forwarded directly to us. If you have questions at all on Sunday, do not hesitate to call. It's not a sin to call us on Sunday. So please know that you can do that.
And
Even
so
in
just
this
to
very
recap,
special place that we live.
Yeah, to recap for the folks that may be just tuning in, we've been talking about the 7 things that you can do before the global currency reset. And you can listen to this podcast on our website if you want to re-listen to it, or if there was information that you weren't able to get a pin for and write down quick enough. You can get that on our podcast on our website, which is goldorstore.com.
Correct.
And
435-703-9119. And folks, the 7 are
gold.
1, gold. Get gold. Number 2, get silver now. I can't emphasize silver enough for you. Get some silver. I want you to know that even if you have $25 or $30 in your wallet today, get yourself some silver. You will be thanking me in such massive ways in just a few months. I can't even tell you right now, but the truth of the matter is it is so low priced. It is so reduced in actual value that right now we're being given a gift. Number 2, get yourself some silver.
By the way, we have a list of phone numbers that we do a voice broadcast to when we have a situation where someone has a situation where they're selling their silver and they need to liquefy it quickly. We'll send out special deals with unbelievable prices on that situation. So if you want to get on that list, you need to call us or email us at thegoldorstore.com.
Yeah, the gold
Oh, at gmail.com.
gmail.com.
Yeah, I get those two mixed up. But anyway, if you want to get on that list, it doesn't cost anything to get on that list. And when we have special sales or things that you'd be interested in, you'll get that voice broadcast. So give us, a call and we'll get you on the list.
Yep, absolutely. So
what about land overseas?
So back to number 1, gold. Get gold. Number 2, get silver. Number 3, get Bitcoin. Number 4, basically get yourself some land. Number 4, get yourself foreign currencies that are these ones that are actually resetting, i.e. the dinar is the biggest one that we have discussed, and many people over the last 10 years have been stockpiling dinar. It's really cheap. You can get an enormous amount for a low amount of money right now. Vietnamese dong is another player in that. The Indonesian rupiah is another one, and then the Zimbabwe dollar, the latter, most recent Zimbabwe dollar, they made a $100 trillion note, the largest denomination ever printed by man. Those are the 4 that we really are talking about today, so foreign currencies. Number 5, farmland in America. And really, 5, 6, and 7 are all about real estate, okay? So 5, 6, and 7, real estate. Get yourself valuable real estate and own it. So we're not talking about, mortgages here. We're talking about if you're able, and those that do this already know that it is a powerful, powerful tool as far as holding wealth in the world.
What about real estate here in the U.S.?
Well, basically, real estate in the U.S. There's mistakes made by first timers and investors. There's speculative buying at market value. You're falling in love with a deal and you get your emotions involved. Stay away from that.
You want to cherry pick. You want to cherry pick for distressed properties.
Yeah, and so number 4, don't put down too much money or too much of your own money in any particular deal. If you are going to get involved in a mortgage, or you need to have a mortgage to get that great deal. Number
have
5,
an exit strategy.
Yeah, have some kind of an exit strategy. A lot of people don't really think about this, but get yourself in a position where you can actually get in and get out of that property.
Yeah, minimize the risk.
Or even if you're going to live in the property, recognize that you've got a 5-year plan, and then you're going to move into something else, or get your look. When you have real estate, your money is actually tied up. It is tied up in that real estate until you make that sale. That day is the only day you make money in the real estate market. So take a look at that. Think about that.
Make sure you're not buying, even if it's a distressed property. Don't buy in a war zone where there's a lot of gang activity and where there's bars on every window.
Yeah, downtown Detroit's still rebuilding. You probably don't want to be buying, an area that's, at least not in the process of rebuilding itself, which I know, no offense to our friends in Michigan, but there's areas in our world that you don't want to be putting money into right now.
And if you're going to venture into investing in real estate, make sure you have a team of people, professionals that you can consult with. Don't try to do this on your own.
Absolutely. So
you'll avoid a lot of mistakes if you have professional counsel that you can, fall back on and depend on.
Yeah, and any one of these we can go more in depth in, later on with you good folks that are listening to this show. And by the way, we really appreciate you listening. It means a lot to us. What we do is really special in this world. It is really different. We recognize it. Many people, are starting to recognize that. This show is unlike anything else you're going to hear on the radio. We talk about, really, truly current events that are actually going on right now that are going to make a difference in your life. Your dollar bill that's in your wallet right now or in your purse is not worth much. And so it's time to actually take a look and start to make some decisions that are going to make some difference for you in the near future. I'm not talking about years down the line here, folks. We are going to have an economic crash this year.
So, Greg, I know we've been talking about the 7 things to prepare, but I'd like to add one more.
Yes, please do.
Solar power.
Solar power. Absolutely adore solar power. I have for years. We are recently getting ourselves involved as a gold ore store in assisting folks in actually finding a source. Getting off the grid
and being completely self-sustained so that if there is a complete meltdown, you're not affected.
Exactly. I mean, that, if the power grid actually shuts down, all of this stuff that we talk about is like really important as far as the economic aspects of our life. But think about this. In that initial transaction of this crash, in quotes, that occurs, we're not really clear on what that's going to look like as far as our world is concerned with regard to power.
Well, and I get frustrated paying minimum fees to a power company whether I use my power or not. Especially if it's like a second home and you're shutting everything down and you're going somewhere else for 6 weeks, but yet you still have to pay $60 to $100 a month.
We live in the city of Washington, and it's not hidden. It's $75 base service charges every month. How about that? $75 base service charges, whether or not you ever turn on your.
Exactly. If your house sits in there on their grid, you're paying $75 a month for your power.
Yeah. So how about we all start to take another look? I know the world is really waking up to solar and other alternative energy systems. We have something that you deserve to know about with regard to that.
And we don't have time to really go into that, but if you're interested in the information, come by the store and we'll get you the information.
We'll talk some more about this on Monday. We got a little 30-minute show on Monday that we can talk about this, some more interest in it, and so you guys can contact us in the meantime 435-703-9119. This is important enough, folks, that you deserve to actually get this information now. It will make a difference in your life.
Now on the fun side, you know what we have in our store, guys, that you might want to come and take a look at? We have a first edition Book of Mormon.
We do. We just got this in from a local friend of ours who deals in high-end items of this nature. And we have something very special for you LDS folks in the listening audience. Come on in and see one of the original 5,000 Books of Mormon that were actually printed, and see something that most people have never seen and never will see.
And we're going to be talking in depth about solar power on tomorrow at 4 o'clock, right after the Kate Dalley show. So that's on this station. And if you miss it or can't listen to it, you can listen to it on our podcast on our website. Our website is goldorstore.com. We also have other products and things that we are selling in the store, and examples of our gold and silver products are on there as well, I believe.
We love you. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Join us every other Monday at 4 p.m. here on Fox News Radio for Silver Linings with Greg Neal. You can find Greg at the Gold Ore Store on historical Main Street in downtown St. George.